just about to start editing this week's vlog. But before I do, I have to run to the store real quick and get a couple of items. Of course, since we're carless, I gotta walk to the store. Right now it's very windy, kind of chilly, and wearing my jacket, but the wind doesn't make it fun, of course. Gotta wish I had car to go out here, because with car to go, I can just hop in the car real quick, go to the store, come right back. But this is not the case right now. So, what I'm doing right now is, I just finished watching Locker Gnome. Actually, it was a geek out for Locker Gnome. For those of you familiar, it's Chris Perillo. He has a website. He does daily vlogs, and he also does a lot of geek news, technology news, stuff like that. And one of the stories on his LockerGnome.com website is one of them said the Lumia 920 is not an Apple iPhone. Okay. And then another article, he wrote about, it was him or a guest author that wrote about iPhone 5 and how people don't like change, and the reason why the Apple did not make any dramatic changes to the OS. Let's put aside the map issue, okay? As we all know, and I have to be honest with that, as we all know, any new type of software that hits the market, it's going to have issues. When Microsoft tried to create one kernel that will support Windows Server as well as consumer-based Windows products, there was issues. Hence, Windows Me, Windows Vista, and I guess, Windows Me, Windows Vista, and Windows 98. It was the introduction of the Windows NT kernel, so that it was one kernel for everything. Of course, Windows Server has a specific task that Windows Consumer doesn't have. Of course, Windows Professional has a few more security protocols than, let's say, like a Windows 7 Home Edition. So you're going to have more involved with Windows 7 Professional, which works for enterprise, because you can set up group policies and really adjust it to the work environment. Then, so whenever something new comes to the forefront, it's going to involve change. And Apple iPhone did not employ change in their OS. Yes, it's an upgrade. Basically, what iPhone 5 or iOS 6 is an upgrade. They did a lot of hardware improvements. That does work. iPhone 5 is a big hardware upgrade, but software-wise, the GUI, the visual, does not give you that new sense of, oh my God, I got something new. It still looks the same. Yes, it does. So when you get an iPhone 5, just know that you have a better OS, iOS 6, and that the hardware, iPhone 5, is a big improvement to the iPhone 4S. That's it. That's the only thing that you should be concerned about. Forget about maps. Maps, it sucks. We all know that. Over time, Apple will improve upon it. Just like over time, Vista became a better and better OS with different security releases that happened. Once they released a bunch of security upgrades to it, Windows Vista wasn't that bad. In fact, once Windows Vista Service Pack 2 came out, I didn't have any problems with it. Really. I really didn't have any problems. Let me cross the street before this Like change? Okay. I really didn't have that many problems with it. It was pretty smooth. Yes, it was a resource hog, but really and truly, I really did not have that many problems with it. So suffice to say that Apple Maps is going to have to go through a couple of upgrades. It's probably going to take maybe a half a year, maybe 1 year before you start to see where Apple Maps is working flawlessly. Would it become the best mapping application in the market? Well, that's to be seen. Right now, as we speak, Google Maps and Nokia Maps are the best mapping system in the market. Okay, that's right now. Apple Maps has the potential of being that top system in the market. Sorry for all the traffic noise. It has the potential of being the best, but it needs a lot of work. And it's going to get better over time. Would I buy an iPhone 5 despite all the things I said? No. I don't like iPhone. Can I say anything bad about iPhone? No. I don't dislike iPhone. Hear what I'm saying. iPhone is not for me. The iPhone is not for me. For a lot of people, Windows Phone is not for them. Hey, who am I to say to another person that why did you get that ugly ass iPhone? Who am I to say that? Okay? I've owned an Android before. I have an Android now. It's a 2.3, Android 2.3. I've had an iPhone 3GS. So I've had the iOS 4. And I think there was a couple of upgrades of iOS 4, because it was first iOS 3, then 4, then I think there was another version that iTunes upgraded, and after that I got the Samsung Focus, which was a Windows Phone 7. It was upgraded to Windows 7.1, and then I had the ability to play with Windows Phone 7.5 for a couple months before I lost it. And then now I got the Android, which is a 2.3. And I played on the Galaxy X3. I went to the AT&T store, and I played on it, and I was very impressed. It's very smooth, a lot better. And so I have to say that Android 4.1 is the better phone, or better OS. In fact, it's the only OS of Android that makes it a great OS. In my opinion, can say that Android is a good OS, except for 4.1. All right, hold on.